Perhaps the most famous Viking in them all was Ragnar Lothbrok. Both a Swedish and Danish king, he became a Viking hero for his legendary raids on both the British Isles and the Holy Roman Empire. However, around the 867 start date, Ragnar attempted to conquer all of England with just 2 boats. This resulted in his capture at the hands of King Aella of Northumbria, who then threw him into a pit of snakes to die in agony. This is where we come in. After hearing of their father's death, Ragnar's sons led a great heathen army into England in an attempt to get revenge. We'll be playing as the primary leader of this great heathen army, Ivar the Boneless. Despite only having 1 leg, he's renowned as a warrior and regarded as a champion of the North, the best of the Norsemen. Our goal will be to avenge our father's death by winning both wars against Northumbria and East Anglia, and then to forge a Viking empire of our own by taking the secured High Kingdom of the North Sea decision. This decision is a little tricky, as we have to hold the kingdoms of England, Norway, and Denmark for 30 years before we're allowed to take it. Additionally, we're going to be going for the achievement Canute the Greater, which means that we have to take this decision while being an unreformed tribal leader. Tribal leaders are forced into Confederate partition, which means we're going to have to deal with some nasty successions if we're going to want to get this achievement properly. So will Ivar be able to avenge his father and then lead his dynasty to form an empire of their own? Today, we're going to find out. We start the game off at war with the petty kingdoms of Northumbria and East Anglia. Our great heathen army has just landed in Jorvik and is being commanded by us and our brother Halfdan. Due to the way wars work in this game, we're currently considered hostile armies to each other. So our first priority is to secure an alliance with Halfdan. However, Halfdan doesn't think that's a good idea because I'm already at war.
You're a fucking idiot.
Whatever, I'm sure that won't affect us in any meaningful way.
Ladies and gentlemen, the spoken is safe now, and the famous rising to the ground, not quite to the boring man, all the humanity and all.
So we end up losing about 900 of our special event troops, who don't respawn because our brother decided to move on to the same spot as us.
That's good.
Apparently seeing our miscoordination, the King of Northumbria decides to offer us a white peace. We didn't sail all the way to England not to avenge our father, so no. You're gonna die, dude.
No, don't do it.
We decide our best course of action is gonna be just staying out of our brother's way. Our war goal is different than our brother's, so we're just gonna siege down everything that's part of our war goal and leave him to do his own thing. As we continue to siege down Northumbria, we finally get that alliance offer from our brother. Or so we thought. It turns out it was our other brother, Sigurd Snake in the Eye. But I was kind of excited for a second. Eventually, though, we're able to siege down pretty much every territory inside of the war goal and get an insanely high war score. We just need to wait for our ticking war score to hit 100, but we go ahead and fight someone because we're just the kings of inefficiency this run. And while we're fighting, we hit 100 war score and it's a bunch of useless deaths. But hey, Northumbria is down. While we were at war, our wife gave birth to a son, which led me to check how many kids we have. And I saw that we have 7 kids when we're 23 years old.
Stop it. Get some help.
That's gonna be a fun succession, but that's a later problem. We have an East Anglia to go capture, and we've lost a ton of our heathen army. So we use this opportunity to purchase some Huscarls. They're an extremely strong troop that should just shred through these soft English armies.
Who you call a pinhead?
With our new and improved military, we get on some boats and head down to East Anglia. We then go ahead and call in our brother, because why not? Could be useful. We're able to siege down the capital, but we're then forced into a fight by our ally. Fortunately, we have more men, so it's a really easy fight. We didn't have a much closer fight when they interrupt our siege and get a defensive bonus as a result. We're still able to come through with victory, which makes me pretty happy that I bought those Huscarls. Once we finish sieging down his last county, we have 100 war score, and we secured a victory in each of the great heathen army wars. We have proven ourselves victorious, so we raise a runestone. Our wife starts to seduce us. Things are looking good. We got some big raids planned, but unfortunately our brother calls us in the war. We accept because we're not taking the level of fame hit, but as it would turn out, you can't raid if you're at war. I don't really plan on helping him out because he's kind of far away and I don't really care about him. So now we're kind of just stuck waiting. At least we have Count Hastings to keep us company. Our brother's war is taking long enough that eventually I get bored enough to just go help him out. However, as soon as I send my troops over there, we have a peasant uprising fire. What are the odds? The peasant uprising proves to be a mere annoyance, and we offer the leader potential forgiveness as long as he converts to a Satru. He chooses not to, so instead he becomes blood for the blood god. Our brother has fallen pretty behind in this war while we were off dealing with the peasants, probably because we have most of the troops in this alliance. While he sieges down the war goal, we go ahead and chase down the enemy stack. But while this is going on, a neighboring ruler wants to be my friend and is offering to release an acquaintance of mine.
I don't even know who you are.
Seeing as she means literally nothing to me, I go ahead and leave her there. However, after that, my son comes of age, but I realize he's also in jail. So I pay the 100 gold ransom for him, and then sort out his adult life by getting him married. We end up going with this quick lady. I'm sure it's the last time we'll see her until my heir takes control. Eventually, all the battles we win allows our brother to finally win the war, which means we can raid and focus on our next goal, securing the High Kingdom of the North Sea. We decide to first raid Ireland to kind of see how strong we are. We end up raiding every single Irish territory without any challenge. So we set our sights a little bit higher and begin a raid on Alba. We didn't really manage our supply very well, so by the time we get to Alba, our stack is super small. We decide it's time to bail when Alba raises a bigger stack than ours to get us out of their territory. As we get ready to run away, we get an event that says our daughter-in-law is trying to seduce us. Not only our daughter-in-law, but our heir's wife, actually. I mean, the way I see it, my future heirs may as well come from me anyways. So yeah, we'll go ahead and take this. I'm sure this will lead to no confusing situations in the future. Additionally, some Anglo-Saxon Catholics have found it fit to rise up against us due to our weak military. We're currently starving and low on supplies, so we're gonna go ahead and resupply, but then we're gonna show them who's boss. By the time we've resupplied, the rebellion has made its way down to East Anglia.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
We storm down there and suppress their revolt with one battle. When we check our dungeons after the battle, we see it might be time for a little bit of spring cleaning.
Blood for the blood god! Blood for the blood god! Blood for the blood god!
And we're not done with our murder rampage yet, because when we get back, we challenge a man to trial by combat to the death. We're a heavy favorite in this fight, so really, he's just dead already. We start the fight off with an intimidation tactic and question his ability to stand against us. It has no likelihood to increase our chance of winning the duel, but it's important he knows that he's fighting a true Viking legend. We then just bum rush him with strike parry riposte attacks and end up victorious, beating him into, quote, a bloody, twisted, screaming heap. Meanwhile, Count Hastings has continued to expand his foothold in England.
Idly ho, neighborinos!
With things sorted out domestically now, we decide it's time to go on some expansion wars into England. We don't have a high enough level of fame to declare conquer duchy wars yet, so we just go for a single county in Cornwall. I honestly can't tell you why we chose Cornwall. Our Cornish war goes really easily. We sail down into Cornwall and engage his much weaker stack. They get stack wiped, giving us an instant 50% war score. We then siege down both targets of the war goal, get 100 war score, and take his land. Succession's looking pretty tough right now, so our next goal is going to be to form a kingdom so we can at least keep everything within the realm. We decided to do this by conquering Ireland. Ireland isn't a kingdom we need to take the decision to restore the High Kingdom of the North Sea, but simply put, they're a far easier target than England, Norway, or Denmark. We begin our Irish conquest by marching our troops down into the Duchy of Ulster. When we engage with the enemy forces, we once again stack wipe them.
And there were no survivors.
Our Viking forces are far too strong for anyone here. After we siege down the capital, we win the war and have expanded our Irish foothold. And in other news, Count Hastings has died, shattering his English outpost. May he find glory in Valhalla. But in non-depressing news, we have a horse now! Let's go! And we're gonna put that horse to good use, because we immediately go back to war against a dude with 700 troops. Well, more like had 700 troops, because he also gets stack wiped. With no way of stopping us, we march to his lands without a challenge and capture his capital, giving us a victory in the war. We've used up pretty much all of our prestige, so in order to get some back, we decide it's time to go raiding against Wessex. The raid's off to a good start until they send a huge stack of troops at us.
Hello there.
They engage on us, and despite being heavily outnumbered, we manage to pull through with a victory. Being a Viking is seriously overpowered.
Come back in 10 years.
It seems like Wessex doesn't know when to quit because they keep engaging our army and just dying. However, this is exactly what we need, as it's giving us a ton of prestige.
Nice.
As we continue our raid, we decide to make camp at an abandoned castle. There's rumors that the castle is filled with ghosts, but we decide to venture inside. When we enter the castle, we're presented with the option of raiding the upstairs, which is full of loot, or venturing downwards into the darkness. Going downwards will give us the brave trait, which gives us a greater chance of dying in combat, which isn't great. But it is virtuous for the Asatru faith, so we're gonna go for it. When we leave the castle, we receive news that our brother Halfdan died, despite Halfdan refusing to form an alliance with us during the Great Heathen War. He's still our brother, and he deserves the best. So we send them off in an ornate ship for a true Viking funeral. The 300 prestige we get as a result is merely a bonus. Following the funeral, our raid presses on, and we're confronted with a stack twice our size. Amazingly, the battle ends up being super close. The English may have kicked us out of their territory for now, but we've more than accomplished our goal of getting enough prestige to finish conquering Ireland. So, all in all, a net win. Perhaps inspired by his first ever defeat in battle, Ivar takes up poetry, a true Renaissance man.
But now is not the time for poetry.
We use our prestige to declare another conquer duchy war in Ireland, and this war goes just like all the other ones in Ireland have. We stack wipe his army and then siege his capital for an easy victory. That war makes it so we're now only one duchy short of being able to form the Kingdom of Ireland. With that being the case, we decide it's time for a double war. We absolutely steamroll steamroll through both of those wars, giving us enough land to finally form the Kingdom of Ireland, which also makes her land all nice and green. We then check our planner and see that we're next in line to inherit our brother's kingdom of Sweden. I'm a little confused by this, as he does have children, until I realize that Sweden uses the Scandinavian elective law, and all the lords are voting for us to be the ruler.
I love democracy.
We had a brief dark impulse to go ahead and claim Sweden now, but we didn't go through with it. With a huge potential windfall in our future, we go to war with some Irish counts to get our borders nice and pretty. We decide to skip going to war with Meath for now, as they're strong enough that a triple war involving them may not be a good idea. However, promptly after we launch our invasion, they go ahead and declare war on us anyways. Interesting. So we're in the midst of this triple war when suddenly Gwynedd declares war on us, and they have a pretty strong ally in Wessex. We're pretty badly outnumbered for this war, and we still have 3 others we have to win too. Thankfully, we have an alliance to our brother Bjorn Ironside of Sweden. We're having some trouble managing all the wars and having 2 lovers, but Ivar just can't let either of them go. This leads to a mental break, but fortunately we become athletic as a result. I should stress myself out more often. We blitz through our Irish wars and take victories there. However, we notice the Gwynedd forces going for the Duchy of Mon. So using our newfound athletic ability, we rush to intercept them. Our brother Bjorn also comes in for the assist, and the battle for Mon starts. With our brother's help, the Welsh have no chance against us, so we easily win this battle. We then begin to hunt down some stray stacks, and then send our stack to go siege his capital. However, in doing so, we get separated from our ally, and we get cut out by a stack about twice our size. I had some concerns, but we end up just overpowering them because, again, Vikings busted. This proved to be the decisive fight of the war, as after it, we're able to siege their capital and win the war, giving us 4 victories and 4 wars at the same time. We now look to start securing some English territory. The biggest realm in all of England currently formed is Wessex, and we severely weakened them and their ally Gwynedd in the previous war.
It's free real estate.
So we launch an invade kingdom war in order to take all of Wessex at once. Alfred's called in his allies, so to even up the odds a little bit, we're gonna call Bjorn back into this war, who makes it in just record time.
I'm fast as fuck, boy.
As we start marching down towards Wessex, Bjorn dies, and we inherit all of Sweden.
Congratulations, you won.
We have a bit of a patchwork empire now. Bjorn's death may have cost us an alliance, but since we inherited his land, we also got all his troops, so our troop count's looking pretty healthy for this war. Hoping to get ahead of things, we check what the election for the next ruler of Sweden looks like. We see our heir isn't leading, and we go to investigate just to find out he's a craven.
No, God!
No Viking is gonna vote for him now, especially with his strong, brave, wrathful, berserker brother currently leading the election. So we hatched this 15-head plan to go get our craven son killed by sending him and 6 levies to go face down the entirety of the Wessex army. Unfortunately, our plan fails, as rather than die, our son has the nerve to get captured, which also costs us a good chunk of war score. So that plan utterly flops, when suddenly someone else declares war on us too. They appear to be a much weaker army, but in their war declaration message, they said they are strong and I am weak. Whatever you say, man. This dude wants some land that I just gained from Sweden, but for now, I'm gonna focus on the Wessex War. We siege down the capital of Wessex, but the development in England isn't suited for an army our size. So as a result, we're now starving. Now that we're in 2 wars, I should probably start playing a bit better and actually managing my supply well. So I head into Cornwall to go ahead and top up. I should probably start playing a bit better. Once we hit about 6,500 troops again, I feel confident enough to go re-engage Wessex. However, I make a bit of a blunder when I get my troop cut out by an 8,000 size stack. Fortunately, our army quality is much better than theirs, and we pull through with a victory. We siege down London when suddenly someone else decides to declare war on us. And they're relatively strong. I wasn't sure where all their troop strength was coming from until I saw they were allied to Hungary, who has 7,000 dudes. Our stack has shrank a lot during this war, so we're going to need to find an ally. One of our daughters is still only betrothed to some guy, I guess.
Hello.
So we're gonna break this betrothal to try and find an alliance now. We see the Jarl of Brittany is unmarried, so we arranged for a marriage between him and our daughter. This will secure us another 4,000 troops for all of our wars. And I'm glad we found him when we did, because immediately after he accepts our marriage proposal, Alba decides to declare war on us too. We're back in a quadruple war. My strategy is to just take the wars one at a time. So we call in our ally and get aggressive on the Wessex. We win a battle and then start unsieging some of the territory they've taken. Once we've reclaimed our territory, we send our Viking horde to go stop him from regaining his capital. A win there puts us a county or 2 away from being able to outright win the war. We're sitting on a lot of prestige, so we go ahead and buy a whole nother stack of Huscarls, putting us at 1,400 of them. We transition our new power into a few sieges and end up winning the war versus Wessex. Alfred's not looking too great this run, is he? prioritizing our land on the British Isles for now, so the next enemy we're going to hunt down is Alba. All our troops are currently in the south of England, so it's going to be a long trek through Britain to get there. As we begin the move towards Scotland, we're told the Catholics now have access to Crusades. This is mildly concerning, as we did just take a Catholic holy site, but I'm sure they'll go for Jerusalem like they always do. Why would they want to mess with Vikings? However, with the looming threat of Crusades over our head, we should probably finish up these wars. We catch the enemy stack on our capital, and we blow them out of the water with all our Huskarls. We then decide to go on the offensive and start sieging down some of their land. However, tragedy strikes when one of our sons dies. And while our heir dying may have been a good thing, this was not our heir, and his death leads us to a mental break. However, we get super lucky again when we get Confider. Now we just talk about our problems with our wife.
My wife.
Isn't that great? But we can't talk our way out of all our problems, as Alfred the not-so-great is leading a disillusioned faction against our kingdom. I will never give in to his commands, so we go to war with him. Alfred may have just fast-tracked his death with this war. We're able to siege down the capital of Alba, and our next target is Alfred. He's been a real nuisance to me, and I want to put him in his place. Alfred's forces have taken to attacking some of our Irish holdings, so before they're able to fully group up, we go ahead and just shut it down.
Never should have come here.
We continue to chase Alfred's forces all around Britain, and with enough victories, we actually max out our level of fame at age 51. Ivar truly is the Boneless. We continue our ruthless pursuit of Alfred's forces, when suddenly we're told that our heir dies. As he was a craven, I can't complain, as we have other children to play as, and hopefully they'll have an easier time getting elected as the King of Sweden. Unfortunately, all news isn't good though, as our best friend and soulmate, our wife, dies. Ivar takes her death very personally, as it leads him to go on another cleansing of the dungeons. This pleases the gods, as we have become a paragon of virtue. What a good Asatru boy we are. But they must not be pleased enough, because after a battle, we receive news that one of our sons is critically injured.
Look how they massacred my boy.
A lot of my family seems to be dying, and I'm not entirely sure why. Speaking of family, we still haven't remarried since our wife died, so we just go with the best war lady. Perhaps we'll never love again.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
At this point, I've managed to win a few of the wars, but all my attention is on Alfred right now. And this war for the chiefdom of Finland just isn't worth my time, so I just go ahead and surrender it. But fortunately, we finally get enough war score to win the war of Alfred, and we know just what to do with him.
So no head?
In celebration of our victory over our greatest foe, we decide to raise a runestone, and we stick it in Oxfordshire just to stick it to Alfred's family. Continuing our celebration, we decide it's time to take a concubine. However, we don't really want the kids, we just want the prestige that comes with it. And not really thinking about it, we end up finding someone familiar.
Wait, I know you.
With our late heir's wife as our concubine, we go ahead and sort out our kingdom and see that we have another 36 wars we can declare.
I'm in danger.
However, more importantly, our new heir is not in the lead for controlling Sweden.
I am once again asking for your financial support.
We start trying to win over some of the electorate by offering them concubines, and in doing so, we see that our daughter can get married. When we check who she can get married to, we see the King of Novgorod as an option. This will give us an alliance to them and give us a bunch of renown, so we go ahead and do that. In celebration of our daughter's wedding, and because we're low on prestige and we needed to conquest, we decided it's time to go raiding again. But this time we got our sights set on a real big target, the Franks. As we start raiding, my heir comes down with typhus. However, I do some quick maths and realize that if he dies, I'll be only one death away from being able to play as my other heir, who is actually leading the election for Sweden. And with the amount of kids I currently have, I think we can let one or two go. So I decide to let the doctor take drastic measures.
Touch me, I'm sterile.
And unfortunately, the treatment is disastrous, and our son gets injured and is very close to dying.
Whatever.
His injuries proved to be fatal, and his brother, Dagoth, takes over as our heir.
Welcome, Moon and Star.
I take a look at Dagoth. I kind of like his stats, so maybe we won't go through with trying to kill him, and instead we'll try to get him elected as the King of Sweden.
I'm a god. How can you kill a god?
I definitely double down on this when we get an event that makes Dagoth vengeful, a virtuous trait for the Asatrus. There's no way the electors aren't going to choose him.
What a grand and intoxicating innocence.
And, oh yeah, the French are really bad at the whole war thing, so we took all their shit and got a bunch of prestige. We go ahead and make use of that prestige by expanding our army with more Huskarls and plotting out some expansion wars into Norway. We use this time of peace to also host a grand blot. The hope of it is to impress the nobility so that maybe they'll vote for Dagoth as the new King of Sweden. But peace doesn't last for very long, as we pretty much immediately go and declare 3 duchy wars on Norwegian dukes.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
We straight up have more Huskarls than some of these dudes have total troops, so this is going to be an absolute massacre.
I'm gonna make this disappear.
As we continue to wrap up these duchy wars, Duke Alfred's son leads an uprising against us. Now I'll take any opportunity to windmill dunk on that family, so this actually has me pretty excited. Now Alfred's kid has a few dudes available to him, and we're all the way over in Norway, so we're gonna need to wrap these wars up quick if we're gonna really stand a chance. Fortunately, our Norwegian opponents proved to be no challenge, and we now control a large portion of Scandinavia. We didn't send our troops back to the British Isles. Once we finally land back in England, we give chase to the troops for a while and are finally able to engage them.
Come to Birmingham! Come to fucking Birmingham!
Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
The battle goes super smoothly, but the rebellion's big enough that it's going to take more than one battle to bring it down. We chase the English rebels around the countryside for a while until we're finally able to catch up to the stack that has a leader in it. We win, take him hostage, and resign him to the same fate as his father.
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
With that rebellion taken care of, we turn our attention to accomplishing one of our main goals for the run, taking over the kingdom in Denmark. As such, we're going to launch a subjugation war. As we begin our invasion into Denmark, our concubine reveals that Dagothr is actually my child and not my grandson. I know there's a reason I like this kid. She also just kind of stands here real mad at herself. Anyways, we don't have a lot of time to spend on that, as the war is just getting started. Our first fight goes super well, and we begin splitting our stack in order to conquer the war goals. During our siege, we're informed by our spy master that one of the Swedish electors is a cannibal? We're going to use this information to blackmail them and hopefully control their vote. So we go back to minding our own business, fighting our wars, doing as we do, when suddenly the Catholics declare a crusade for England. I'm England. We're able to wrap up our war for Denmark pretty quickly, but we now need to turn our attention to consolidating our power for the English Crusade. However, despite our best efforts to gain enough prestige to fortify our troops, we're still hugely outnumbered by the Crusaders when the Crusade starts.
This is not right. This is not cool. This is fucking bullshit.
We hire as many mercenaries as we can and come up with a strategy that should hopefully work in this war. The AI isn't going to be totally coordinated in their invasion into England, so we're just going to try and pick them off one at a time while they're still small stacks. And this plan works out well when we're able to catch out small stacks on the east side and over in Wales. Eventually, another large group of reinforcements for the Catholics comes in over the English Channel. They can't quite seem to decide where they want to land, and half of them end up in Wales and the other half over on the south of England. Fortunately for us, their disorganization allows us to get a huge advantage in the fight, and we absolutely crush the stack.
Now that's a lot of damage!
We continue to use these hit and run tactics on the Crusaders until we were able to get a war score of 65%. And as you can see, we've been able to rack up quite a few victories. And eventually, after chasing enough stray stacks around England, we're able to secure a victory in the Crusade and send the Catholics packing.
Leave me alone! Get away!
And just because the Pope really annoyed us, we plan a sacking of Rome. With the Catholics being an example of, we turn our attention towards securing Sweden and Denmark for our future heir, Dagothr. Right now, he's in second place for both of those elections, so we're gonna have to do some wheeling and dealing to get him in the first. Ivar is currently 65, so he has a limited amount of time in order to make this happen. We come up with the genius plan of revoking some of the leaders' titles and handing them over to our son so that he has a larger share of the votes. And as it would turn out, this ends up getting him in the first place. With us controlling Sweden, we want to go ahead and take more counties in England and Norway. However, we don't want to take enough that once we die, the kingdoms will be formed, because at that point, they'll be split off into our other sons and it'll cause a whole succession war that we really don't want to deal with right now. So when we take a look at England, we see we can't take any more counties without forming England once we die. So we go to war with some Norwegian dukes in order to acquire more land. Seeing as he's just a duke and we have 1 million troops, this is gonna go really easily. And sure enough, we're able to take the land without any difficulties. Following that, we continue our late life land grabs by going to war with Lotharingia for more land in Denmark. Unfortunately, the Reaper comes for us all, as before we're able to finish the war, Ivar dies, leaving his son Dagothr to rule the realm. However, the election in Sweden didn't really go that great and we lost all of it, but we still control Denmark, which is really the main priority. With Dagothr being so young and us being so close to controlling the 3 kingdom titles we need, we should be able to get the achievement this life. However, first things first, Dagothr needs to be married, and as it would turn out, the best candidate is his cousin. I won't tell if you won't. We're also currently dealing with the fact that all of our vassals despise us, so rebellions could just come out of nowhere at any point, and we might be adding fuel to the fire when we take our sister-in-law as a concubine. We're just full of terrible decisions today, aren't we? But in a good decision, we do re-up our alliance with Brittany with a marriage to our sister. So thanks for that. And it may be necessary, as the war we inherited from our father has way more defenders than I thought they did. Things get a bit hairy here. Fortunately, the power of an overwhelming amount of Huskarls completely shuts down their army. We're busy chasing down the Lotharingian forces when suddenly some dude declares war on us.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Shouldn't be much of a challenge with our allies in Brittany. So now we're running back and forth around Scandinavia, and we give birth to a son. Which is cool and all, but more importantly, we're now exalted among men at 22. Damn, we're cool.
I'm a god. How can you kill a god?
So we shut down that random war that was declared on us, and the war for some Danish lands in Lotharingian control. From here we decided to think about who we declare war on a bit. We control enough of Denmark for the achievement, but we do need a few counties in Sweden and a bunch in England. So as a result, we decided to subjugate Jorvik to take as much land as possible. Jorvik proves to be no problem, and we're now tantalizingly close to controlling enough land for the achievement. However, we get some disturbing news when we find out someone's plotting to kill me. I highly doubt that will happen considering how far along we are in the achievement though. Never mind. I guess I'm dead and I lost everything. Dagoth, you were the chosen one. Dagoth, no. So yeah, we failed another achievement run because I gave up and rage quit. And then I disappeared from YouTube for a while. Sorry about that, guys. Hopefully I can come back and post some more videos. Yeah. Sorry. But if you've enjoyed this one, go ahead, drop a like, drop a comment, drop a subscribe. You know, do the YouTube stuff. We all love it. And yeah, I'll post later. See ya.